This brief lesson will introduce you to the basics of APA citations for Business 100. In this video, we'll cover how to format an APA citation for the course textbook, the different ways you can cite information, and where to get help when citing in the future. Citing your sources is important not only because your professor requires it. When you cite a source, it gives credit to the original author of the words or idea, which is an ethical use of information. It also demonstrates to your reader that you are not just presenting your own opinion, but did research and found evidence to back up your claims. The reader will then be able to check your sources for themselves and confirm their accuracy or credibility. APA, or American Psychological Association, is a citation style that is commonly used in the social sciences, STEM, and education fields. You will use citation styles in assignments that include outside sources. For example, research papers that use information from articles or books to provide evidence for claims made by the author. An in-text citation appears within the body of the work, in parentheses, and provides partial information, like author name and publication year, so the reader understands which source is being referred to. References appear at the end of the assignment as a full and complete list of all the sources that you used. A basic book citation for your references page begins with the author's last name, followed by a comma and their first initials. If there's an additional author, you would include their last name and first initials after another comma and ampersand. You would then provide the publication year in parentheses. Next is the book title, which should be italicized. The first letter of the title and subtitle should be capitalized, but the remaining text should be lowercase unless the first letter of a proper noun. For example, the name of a person or country. If there's a specific addition, be sure to include that next in parentheses. Finally, list the name of the publisher and the DOI, or Digital Object Identifier, if the item has one. A DOI can appear as either an alphanumeric string of digits or as a web page URL, which begins with the letters DOI. In the example of the Business 100 textbook, the citation would appear as Williams, C, ampersand, Kelly, M, then 2023 in parentheses for the publication year, followed by BUSN 12, Introduction to Business in italics, 12th edition in parentheses, and then Cengage as the publisher. In-text citations are much simpler and are used within the body of your paper or post. They provide a partial citation of the full source, telling your reader which source from your references you are specifically citing. If you include the textbook authors' names with the information you're referencing, for example, saying, according to Kelly and Williams, then your in-text citation only needs to include the publication year and the specific page you are quoting from within parentheses. If you do not include the author's names within the quote itself, then your in-text citation should have the author's names, for example, Williams and Kelly, 2023, P199, all in parentheses. There are multiple instances in which you should use citations. If you are referencing an external source, you should cite whether you're quoting directly, paraphrasing, or summarizing information from that source. You do not need to cite, however, when making a claim that is common knowledge. For example, stating that water is made of 2 hydrogen atoms and 1 oxygen is widely documented and known in the scientific community. It would not need to be cited. If you're not certain whether to cite a source, it's better to cite than not. When you borrow ideas or exact words from a source, you need to cite it both with an in-text citation and a reference. There are several different ways you might borrow from a source. If you include word for word exact phrasing from a source, that's considered a direct quote and should be indicated by using quotation marks around the borrowed words, followed by an in-text citation. If you reword or rephrase their idea but keep the same meaning, that's considered paraphrasing and should include an in-text citation. For example, if the original source uses the phrase, "The business environment faced an onslaught of changes in the first 2 decades of the 21st century," and you use the phrase, "The business world endured a whirlwind of shifts between 2000 to 2020, you are paraphrasing the original source. Summarizing is when you rewrite the main points of a larger text into a condensed, shorter version. For example, giving the main points of a chapter in one paragraph. If you are still borrowing the ideas of the original source, you should provide an in-text citation that includes the author's last names and the publication date. If you're wondering whether you can use citation generators, the answer is yes, but with caution. If you do decide to use one, there are more reputable generators online like ZoteroBib, BibGuru, BibCitation, EasyBib, and RefWorks. Sometimes it can be more work to enter the item's information into a generator than simply citing it yourself. However, generators can be helpful with electronic sources like websites or articles. Most of the library's databases and our catalog have built-in citation generators you can use too. Regardless, whenever you use an automatic citation generator, always double-check the citation against the citation guide, as generators can make mistakes. If you need help with your citations or want to double-check their accuracy, there are a number of resources available. Websites like Purdue OWL and APA Style provide examples of up-to-date citation formatting for multiple sources like books, articles, websites, YouTube videos, and more. You can also visit laurelridge.edu/tutoring to connect with our tutors who can offer feedback or paper reviews. If you need further help, feel free to reach out to the library. You can email us at library@laurelridge.edu, text us at 540-318-1123, reach us through our 24/7 live chat, or make a research appointment with a librarian through our website by going to help, then make a research appointment.